Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Numerics with Nadia. In today's video, we're going to continue building off of our beginner geometry videos. If you haven't watched the last few videos where we learned how to classify geometry's key angles, which included complementary, supplementary, vertical, and adjacent angles, I would highly recommend you guys to watch those two videos first. I'll go ahead and tag them right here for you guys. Once you guys have watched those videos, or if you already have, we'll get into our lesson plan for today. So today we're going to define what a transversal is, and we're also going to go through and define the types of angles formed by a transversal. So to start off, let's look at our visual here. We have two parallel lines. Those are labeled in blue, and we have our transversal. Now, what is a transversal? The definition of a transversal is a line that intersects two or more lines at distinct points. So we can see here that this transversal cuts through each of the parallel lines at one distinct point. So there are two intersections here. That is our first term for today's lesson. So make sure you guys have that one written down. And now we'll get into the different types of angles formed by a transversal. So the first one we're going to start with today is alternate exterior angles. So as you guys see in the first little diagram, this one is highlighted in purple. Exterior angles are angles that are outside of the parallel lines, and since they are alternate, that means that they are on opposite sides of the transversal. So as you guys see in this top diagram, the first purple highlighted part is on the right side on the outside of the parallel lines, and the second one is on the left side on the outside of the parallel lines. So those two will be considered alternate exterior angles. Now we'll get into the second one. It's the same thing with the alternate, but these are alternate interior angles. So these are on the inside of the parallel lines, and they are on opposite sides. Then we have vertical angles. Vertical angles are a review for us. We've already gone through this in our previous videos. Vertical angles are pairs of opposite angles formed when two lines intersect. So in this case, the way they define it is two angles whose sides form opposite rays. So all vertical angles are angles that are across from each other with an intersecting point in between. We've already covered that in previous videos. If that is confusing, please go ahead and watch those previous videos. Then for corresponding angles, that is a new term. Corresponding angles are two angles that occur in the same position. So these angles are in the same relative positions, but just on different intersection. So one is on the inside and one is on the outside of the parallel lines, but they are in the same position or the same spot. Next, we'll get into supplementary angles. So this should also be a review. Supplementary just means that these two angles form a straight line and they will add to 180 degrees. And now for our last term, this one is new. We have consecutive interior angles. They can also be referred to as same side interior. And these types of angles are on the same side of the transversal between the parallel lines. I would encourage you guys to write this down in your notebook, and we are going to be using the same color code so that when we go back to our original visual diagram, when we go through each type of angle, we'll be able to correlate them with the colors and the definitions. So let's go ahead and do that. Looking at our original visual diagram now, we still have our two parallel lines in our transversal, and let's start with alternate exterior angles. So if I look at my diagram, I'm looking for angles that are outside of our parallel lines and on opposite sides. So angle 1 and angle 8 are alternate exterior angles, as well as angle 2 and angle 7. So those are our two alternate exterior angles for this example. And an important note about the measure of these two angles, these two alternate exterior angles will be congruent. So they will have equal measure, and the way to notate that something is congruent is with that equal sign with the one squiggle on top. So I'll be using that for all of our further examples, but alternate exterior angles are equivalent and they are congruent. Now for alternate interior angles, we're looking for angles inside of the parallel lines on opposite sides. So our alternate interior angles would be angle 3 and angle 6, as well as angle 4 and angle 5. And those two pairs of alternate interior angles would also be congruent. Now we'll get into our third type of angles formed by a transversal, and those are corresponding angles. So corresponding angles, if you remember, they mean same spot or same position. So angle 2 and angle 6 are in the same position. Angle 4 and angle 8 are in the same position. Angle 1 and angle 5 are in the same position. And last but not least, we have angle 3 and angle 7. All of these pairs are corresponding angles, and the measure of all these corresponding angles is also congruent. And now we'll move on to our last type of angle. For the last type, they are consecutive interior angles, also sometimes referred to as same side interior angles. So we're looking at angles on the inside of our parallel lines that are consecutive or in the same spot. So we have angle 4 and angle 6. Those are consecutive interior angles. And then also angle 3 and angle 5 are consecutive interior angles. Now for the measure of consecutive interior angles, these ones are not congruent. That's an important note. They are supplementary, and supplementary means that they add to 180 degrees, right? I would highly encourage you guys to copy this diagram now into your notebooks. Feel free to color code everything like I have here. This way you'll be able to compare the definitions we went over earlier in the video to the diagram and to the visual. But that wraps up our video for today. We just went over the definition of the different types of angles formed by a transversal. So alternate exterior angles, alternate interior angles, corresponding angles, and same side interior angles or consecutive interior angles. We will do more practice on this in a later video, but for now, I hope you guys enjoyed today's lesson. Please feel free to like the video if you did, comment any questions or any practice problems or any other video topics you would like to see down below. Feel free to share this video with a friend, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys next time.